Okay, hello everyone. The topic that I've chose in the final coverage is the intermolecular forces of attraction. Intermolecular forces of attraction. So, why is it called intermolecular forces, or why is it called intermolecular? Um, as we can see, nganong ginatawag man ang interbarangay o interbarangay, it is because there are different barangays nga involved ana. And why is it also called international beauty contest? Because there are different nationalities nga involved ana. And it's the same thing sa intermolecular. Why is it called intermolecular? Because molecules ang involved ani. So we can ask, unsa man gid ning intermolecular forces of attraction? So intermolecular forces of attraction, these are the forces that help or force molecules to to attract to one another. So there are forces of attraction here. We have three: the London dispersion force, the dipole-dipole forces, and the hydrogen bond. So let's start sa London dispersion force. So here, I already created an illustration regarding to the forces so that I can only explain it. Okay. So first is the London dispersion force. So why is it called London dispersion force? So it goes like this. So we have two neutral atoms here, right? We can see the two neutral atoms here. So we have in the middle, we have proton and neutron, and it has been surrounded by electrons. Okay, proton and neutron surrounded by electrons. So the question is, how come na may mangyayaring forces of attraction, and how come may attraction na mangyayari to one another if neutral naman sila? If neutral naman at di naman dipole, 'di ba? So ito yung explanation nito. Yung mga electrons, hindi sila parang pose na nakastay lang sa isang lugar. Mga laagan jud pud ni sila, like magalihok-lihok jud pud ni sila, and the more they move, mabot na sa point nga majority sa ilaha moadto na diri nga side. And gamay na lay mabilin diriya. That's why na ay may tabo nga slightly positive here, gamay na lang, and slightly negative here sa daghan. And gitawag siya instantaneous dipole. So, pag ang uban molecules makabantay nga kaning molecule, kining isa ka molecule diri kay daghan siya negative diri, na instantaneous dipole nga nahitabo, daghay negative diri, kini po sila moingon nga, uy, daghanay kay electrons, muhawa na ko, like that. Ang mahitabo sa mga uban molecules is nana po instantaneous dipole. But always remember, so instantaneous dipole, so that's why na-attraction sa slightly positive o slightly negative. Ma-attract na sila to one another. But always remember nga dili pod maintain ning instantaneous dipole. Dili siya maintain. Mo na siyang ginatawag ni siya London dispersion force. So ang London dispersion force kay ginatawag siya pinaka-weak nga intermolecular forces of attraction. It is because the reason is dili man jud maintain ang instantaneous dipole niya. Dili siya maintain. And ang reason pod nga mukusog ang London dispersion force is nakadepende, ang kusog sa London dispersion force is nakadepende po sa kadaghan sa electrons. Okay, great. Now let's proceed to dipole-dipole forces. Okay. So sa dipole-dipole forces, diri na mosulod ang polarity. So, take note that sa dipole-dipole forces, sa dipole-dipole forces, kay only polar molecules can experience dipole-dipole forces, which only means na wala dyo involvement diri ang non-polar molecules. only polar molecules can experience the dipole-dipole forces. Kay ang non-polar, wala sila'y dipole. So, say for example, kining oxygen nga atong ginabreathe. Kining oxygen is a non-polar. Ang kining oxygen, okay, let's write it. Kining oxygen is a non-polar molecule. It is a non-polar molecule. So, ang electrons ani kay evenly distributed siya. That's why wala siya dipole. So, kung i-compare nato siya sa hydrogen, sa water nga itong ginainom, since it is a polar molecule, and it is not, ang electrons niya is not evenly distributed. That's why naa siya slightly positive and slightly negative. That's the reason why only polar molecules can experience dipole-dipole forces. So, ang mahitabuan is same thing sa London dispersion force kay naa-adjoy attraction. Na-attraction ang slightly negative o ang slightly positive. So, kani pong dipole-dipole forces, siya ni morning likod sa special properties of water. Special properties of water. Kay dili na mo sulod ang surface tension. So, surface tension. Okay. Dira na mo sunod ang surface tension. So, the question is, unsa man ning surface tension? So, ang surface tension po, say for example, mabantayan nato, di ba? Sa water molecule, pag tan-awon nato siya, mura siya hugis Mickey Mouse. That's the reason why my illustration is hugis Mickey Mouse siya. So, ang each side aniya kay slightly positive, ang hydrogen part niya kay slightly positive, kay exposed man dito ang proton, and then diri negative, slightly negative siya. So, ang mahitabuan ni, kay ma-attract sila to one another. Mura na sila magkapit bisig ba? That's the reason why when we ask ourselves, unsa may scientific explanation why if atong ipubutang ang karayom sa water, nganong di man siya mulubog? It is because of surface tension. It is because of dipole-dipole forces, because of attraction of slightly negative and slightly positive. And that's also the reason why nganong naay mga bubbles sa water, like nag-form siya circle, because of surface tension, because of dipole-dipole forces. Nagkapit bisig sila. So, sila kapit bisig. Okay. So, that's it for dipole-dipole forces. Let's proceed to hydrogen bond. So, hydrogen bond is the special type of dipole-dipole force. So, it is also the strongest form of dipole-dipole force. And it is a matter of bond between hydrogen and highly electronegative atom, which are nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine specifically. So, we have an example here, the molecules of ammonia or NH3. So, since ammonia is a polar molecule, okay, it is a polar molecule, so it is not evenly ang electrons niya is not evenly distributed. That's why ang hydrogen niya kaninga part maning hydrogen, and this is the nitrogen. Okay, this is nitrogen and this is hydrogen. Slightly positive siya diri and diri slightly negative siya. That's why ang mga hydrogen ma-attract sila sa nitrogen. That's why mo na siyang gitawag siya hydrogen bond.